Hey everyone, and welcome to a first video for Diablo 4. And for our first character we went for a Sorcerer. This is a first go at the build. We just hit 100 on the Sorc, and this is the build. Before we move on, I'd like to tell you that there are a lot of builds out there, different ones, better, worse, whatever. This is my build so far, which allows me to do up to sigils level 58. That's around 114 mobs, but I just hit 100, so I need a little bit more gear and refining and tweak it a little bit. But if anyone wants to play this on Season 1 coming up in a couple of days, it is definitely a good build to play from level 1 to 100, and then you can adjust it if you like playing a Frost Mage. So, no further ado, let's go and see the skills. Let's start with the skills a little bit. So, starting out the top, I know we said this is a Frost build, but we're going to start with Frostbolt and one enhancement on the Frostbolt because we need 2 points to unlock the next level. Now this is the basic skills, and we're not going to be using a basic skill or an ultimate for this one. And this is what makes it a little bit more unique, because usually people depend on the ultis. The reason why we picked the Frostbolt is for the enchantment effect, which says direct damage from skills apply up to an additional 5094 damage, burning damage over 8 seconds. We want those enemies burning. The amount of damage may look insignificant, but the synergies later on make it worth having it. On our core skills, we're going to go for eye shards, which are very, very good. We're also going to be using the enchantment of eye shards, which once we freeze the target, they automatically form and they hit the targets. That is like passive damage happening, and they do quite a bit of damage. As you can see, mine are 8 out of 5. I was lucky enough to find some gear that gives +3 on the shards. We're also going to expand this so they have a 40% chance to ricochet of frozen enemies, or when we have shields they also do that. And of course we want vulnerability. That means our enemies will take 20% more damage. So put as many points as you can on this if you find the gear. Moving on, we go to defensive skills. This is a part I do not really like for the Sorc. Maybe I'm playing it wrong, but we have picked every single defensive skill there is. We got 1 level of flame shield. This is our oh shit button, because it gives you 2 seconds of immunity and you can get out of a lot of situations. We got teleport 5 ranks because we want the cooldown reduction from that. We also went for when we hit multiple targets, the cooldown is reduced. And after teleport we get 30% damage reduction, so we can get out, get a little bit of damage reduction if we land with something else, and so on and so forth. We also got ice armor with the 2 expansions here, with mana regeneration, because I need quite a bit of that. And of course, if they hit us, they become vulnerable. Therefore, if they are vulnerable and hit us, the armor gets more HP on it. There's also the option you can also play they get frozen, but we already have a lot of damage that freezes. This one is better, so they can take more damage, finish them more faster. And Frost Nova. Ideally I would like to have Frost Nova at 5 for the cooldown reduction. This is our main defensive, I would say, skill, because something gets around you, you freeze everything, you can get out, or you can apply vulnerability and nuke them. So I usually use this when things get close and I'm already DPSing distant targets. We took killing enemies frozen by Frost Nova, reduce the cooldown by 1, so you want to freeze them and kill them, so the cooldown comes down, you can use it again. Cooldown reducers are important. This is why I want to work a little bit on this build and see if we can improve it, so we can spam more things. And of course it makes them vulnerable for 6 seconds. That means 20% more damage. So we have vulnerability application through Frost Nova, and we also have vulnerability application through Ice Shards. We need that 20% to keep going. Moving, so we also took Elemental Attunement. This is a lucky hit. A lot of things work on the luck, so we have a chance here, 15%, if we get hit, and we will get hit, for our defensive skills to reset Frost Nova, Ice Armor, Teleport, or Flame Shields to actually go down. And always Glass Cannon, 18% increased damage, and we take 9% more. But 9%, trust me, is not a lot. The 18% is much more worth it. And we move on down to Conjugation. We are not picking almost any skills here. We're just going to be picking some of the passives. We're definitely picking Lucky Hit chance increased by 15%. That will help to boost the chances here from the Lucky Hit. to reduce our cooldowns. We're picking one level of assign the elements. This, you get 1% damage reduction for as long as you haven't been hit by an elite, up to 40%, which means once you get hit, you get 40% less, then it starts building again. Hopefully you don't get hit every second, so you'll have some sort of a reduction as you move along. Mana shield, every time you spend 100 mana, you gain 15% reduction for 5 seconds. That is a massive damage reduction. We keep spamming spells anyways, our mana are going to be used a lot. Using a cooldown grants you 30% of your maximum life as a barrier for 2 seconds. Anything, you know, any of the defensive we're going to be popping, we get extra shields, and we just keep going. Moving down to mastery skills, this is the other main one that we're going to be using, and that is Blizzard. Blizzard, I feel, is an underrated spell. Maybe it could be a little bit stronger in some aspects, but I think it's a little bit underrated. And but we're using it. As you can see on this one, we have boosted all the way to 9. I wish I could go more. The thing I would like to point out here is this: it has no cooldown, is spammable, and is stackable, so you can have 3 or 4 of them going at the same time. It will apply at my level, the way it is right now, 49,000 damage in 8 seconds, which is a little bit less than Inferno with an ulti. 68,000 on Inferno. We got 79. It is boosted way above, but you can boost Inferno anyways. And this is stackable. With some of mana cost reductions, we have 29 mana cost, so we can do quite a few out of 100, 120 mana points we'll be having. We got that Blizzard does 25% increased damage to frozen enemies, and we also got the fact that Blizzard reduces the cost of core skills by 10%. That means we get a reduction on our eye shards. That's kind of a little bit of a synergy there. And we're also going to be picking Icy Veil. Our barriers have 5% increased duration. We could bring this damage down if we feel we have too much and get this a little bit going more. And always with lucky hit, frost skills have a 9% chance to increase freeze. All the points here, we want targets to be frozen as much as possible, because with the combination that we're going to get from our Paragon, we're going to be dealing cold damage, damage to frozen targets, damage to chilled targets. We're going to be dealing damage to vulnerable targets. We're going to be dealing damage to burning targets. So we're trying to combine as much damage because we don't have massive defenses. We want to kill them as fast as we can. Blizzard also applies chill. Chill means they get slowed. If they get super chill, they become frozen. Blizzard has a duration of 8 seconds, so you can spread it. Mobs there, you can kite around your blizzards. You can do a lot of little gameplay around there. And depending on the situation, you can also stand still. It's very good for events in nightmare dungeons, in hell tides, that you need to stand somewhere in the middle, all the mobs come to you. Blizzard helps quite a bit to make this easier. And moving down finally to the ultimate skills, I've said we're not picking any skills, but we are going to pick all the frost stuff. We're going to pick permafrost. We got some gear that gives us a few extra points. This is really imperative, I think, for any build, that you guys find gear that buff your main skills. This one, we got it from 3 out of 3 to 5 out of 3, which means we get 25% increased damage to elites. They are the hard ones to kill. All the other mobs you can handle. We got 12% increased cold damage to vulnerable targets. We have 2 vulnerable applications, Eye Shards and Frost Nova. We're also getting from Lucky Hit, when cold damage, we deal cold damage against vulnerable enemies. There's 20% chance to generate mana. We need mana. And of course, Hoarfrost with 9% increased damage to chilled enemies and 18% to frozen. This is why we need to keep them frozen. When it comes to freezing, keep in mind all your skills will help on the freezing. Ice Shards, Blizzard, Frost Nova, even your armor can, Ice Armor can do that. However, there's only 2 applications of freeze you can do in a single mob, which means you can freeze them, you can shoot them, they will unfreeze, you can freeze them again, you can shoot them, then they get immunity for, I don't know how long it is, actually didn't count it, for a few seconds, 5, 6, 10 seconds, whatever it is, then you can freeze them again 2 times. So you might have to kite a little bit, because your damage is at its peak when things are frozen and vulnerable together. Any other state, you're dealing good damage, but it's not your peak. So be aware of that. And finally, from the key passives, we're going to pick Avalanche. A lot of people try and play with Shatter, which after you freeze something and expires or you kill it, it explodes for 25% of the damage you do, which is great for mobs, but when you have a lot of mobs around you, however, we already have Blizzard that hits everything, and we have ice shards, and with the aspect we're going to apply, it's going to be penetrating and hitting multiple targets, plus ricocheting off frozen targets. So our AoE is already massive. We don't need more after they die. I mean, they died. It's better if we get Avalanche, and we get a 10% chance our next Ice Shards, Frozen Orb, or Blizzard to cost no mana. This helps a lot with maintaining mana. And that is every time we use it, and we spam it a lot. We also hit frozen targets when we have a chance to get mana. Blizzard hits 10, 15, 20 targets. So as long as you have mobs and you have the Blizzard on them, or multiple Blizzards, your mana will pretty much be at 100% and will never move. As soon as the mobs go down, then is when this kicks in to help with the ice shards on the single targets, to give you a few extra shots without mana, to help you regenerate as much as you can in the meantime after that cast. I personally also use the aspect that makes that 2 casts instead of 1, so it helps a lot. And of course, chances for that to happen is doubled on vulnerable enemies. Ice shards make them vulnerable, so you keep spamming that, you get some free ones, you get some regeneration, you keep it going, you have as much mana as you need. You will eventually run out, but it will be after a while. And of course, when you get that buff of no mana cast, you also deal 40% more, whether that's Blizzard or that is the Ice Shards, is definitely worth having an extra 40%. Now, I know I've run through this a little bit fast, but for those of you that like to see this on paper and go through it bit by bit, point by point, you can visit my website, fixertv.live. The build is there, and there's also some extra videos with the gameplay to help you understand how you can deal with a couple of situations. Now, let's go to the more complicated part of this, the Paragon, which is a mess. I have to admit, this gave me a lot of trouble, not because it's difficult, but because there's so many different options and pathways and things you can do. Now, like I said, I just hit 100. This might need a little bit of tweaking. I will be updating this as soon as I can, because season starts in 3 days from now, and we'll be playing a different character. I'll do my best to minimax this and have a very, very good Frost Sword that can deal with better situations. Nevertheless, on the basic one, we start and we go on the right hand side just to pick a little bit of life and non-physical damage. So pretty much every spell, non-physical damage. We go up. Now, on your way up, anytime you have the opportunity to pick up strength, do so. It will help with your survivability. Armor is the best defensive statistics in the game. Here we split a little bit. The reason why we went here is to take the willpower for regeneration. You could skip this, however, I want to get this, not for the resistances, but for the 10 intelligence. It is really helpful, plus 19.8 mastery skill damage. That is something we want. We pick here non-physical damage again, and for the node here, for the glyph, I went for the mastery one, the adept. Blizzard is our mastery skill, and this will give us 138.6 more damage on Blizzard. Now, I said this might need a bit of mini-maxing. This is based on intelligence. Maybe in another card, if I look a little bit more hard and mini-max this, we'll have more intelligence points. That is something I need to do later. Then we'll move on and we get here to the enchantment card. Here we have the opportunity to pick again non-physical damage. This will buff all our spells and more life. Then we go in for the node. Next to the node we have again resistance. We're picking this for the non-physical damage as the extra bonus, and we also get the 10 intelligence. Again, non-physical, a little bit more dexterity for crit. And for the glyph, on this one we went for the enchanter. This gives us 85.8% non-physical damage. Our spells are stronger, all of them. And since we have more intelligence around there, we also get the benefit of getting 13% resistance from the skills we have equipped in our enchantment. That will be a firebolt, fire resistance, and ice shard, frost resistance. Resistances may be buffed in the future in the game. Right now, do not invest points deliberately on them because it's not worth it. Put armor if you have the chance for armor. Then we go a little bit further up to pick up more non-physical damage, and we move on to the next one, which is Icefall card. Here we split up a little bit more because it's a pure frost card. We get cold damage and chill application. We want things to be frozen as soon as possible. We of course pick up the legendary node. Killing frozen enemies grants 15% of your maximum life as barrier. So lots of mobs, keep killing and keep getting a barrier for 5 seconds. You also have your ice armor, you have your flame shields, and you just keep doing that. You also get damage reduction when you use mana. You get, remember, from here you also get damage reduction. You spend 100 mana, and you also, using a cooldown, get barrier. You keep building those barriers. 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, and we keep on going. We also have a little bit of extra vulnerable damage that we picked up. Here again, we picked this up because we want to pick up the intelligence points. And for our glyph socket, we went for the crowd control, the control one. This will give us 79.2% extra damage to crowd controlled. That's one part. Crowd controlled, chilled enemies are crowd controlled, frozen enemies are crowd controlled, so our damage goes up. And additionally, since we got the 25 dexterity, we also get 10% increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies, or 20% to stunned or frozen. So if the chilled, they get 10%, when they get frozen, it goes to 20%. So this bumps it up to 99% damage increase. You keep adding those: chill damage, cold damage, vulnerable damage. We keep our damage going up constantly. Then we go from here. Already covered 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. We could get more vulnerable damage or reduction from vulnerable here. We could expand a little bit to get some more armor here, a point there, you know, potions. But this is a sword. We need damage, kill before you kill kind of thing. So move down and we go to, if I remember, this is Burning Instinct. It's a frost build. Why we need a fire? This is why we need a fire. We come in and we get 5% damage to burning enemies. Our firebolt will make everything we hit, along with the blizzard, apply the burning. So now we get 5%, another 5%, another 10%, plus the intelligence increases our damage. So we get more. Then we get a little bit of damage reduction for enemies that are burning. So some of them will be frozen, some of them will hit us. Getting a little bit of reduction helps a lot. Okay, again the 10 intelligence. And our final glyph, because we went for 5 glyphs trying to get those extra points in, is Flame Feeder, where for every point of dexterity we get more damage to burning targets. You don't have to use fire spells on burning targets to get damage, any spell. So buffing this up, as long as we hit them once to get the burning from the flame bolt, we get another 73% damage to burning targets. Blizzard is always there. We spread the blizzard so everything gets hit by it and gets chilled, it gets burning, it gets frozen, all the things ticking at the same time. And additionally, since we got the dexterity required, we do 10% increased direct damage to burning enemies. That's for ice shards basically. And for as far as I know, blizzard is also direct damage. It's not a dot, it's not considered a dot. So we spread our points in 5 cards. We got 5 glyphs trying to maximize this. There's room for improvement. We'll see. I'll be playing with this. So that's the skills. That's the Paragon points. And I just want to show you a little bit my gear here. It's not great because we just hit 100. We have about 7,000 attack power, which this, don't trust it a lot because this does not add that 100% more damage on frozen, 160 on chilled, 73 on burning. This is basically your gear and a little bit of your Paragon stats when it comes to like intelligence and things like that. So it's not an absolute. I'm not using any uniques. I have quite a few uniques when it comes to this, but uniques may be good, but they're not the best as far as I can tell, because you're losing a couple of things required. I've tried to get as much, like this one, cooldown reduction, okay, percentage of armor for survivability. I'm just telling you the basic ones. Barrier generation, since when we hit frozen targets get a barrier. When we use mana, we get damage reduction. We get barriers from our shields. We get barriers when we kill. It's important we get a lot of points. This is why you'll see all my gems on the gear here, the all barrier generation. We want more points on the barriers as possible. All the gems are slotted with skulls to give more armor for survivability. And if you can get armor, cooldown reduction, and mana, that is good. Then everything else comes up. You know, after armor, get frost kill on this one. If you find a couple of gears, and I did, this lack up to 5% chance to restore 16% primary resource. This also helps maintain mana, especially with the extra luck we got from the talent tree. You could branch out and get a little bit more luck from the paragons if you feel you want a little bit less damage, but you want more maintenance. Here is where we got the 4 ranks of extra blizzard, a little bit of reduction from enemies that are burning, 14% plus 15 when we use the mana, that's 30% damage reduction. You can keep you alive, more armor, cost reduction here, frost nova and teleport points, dodge chance. It had it, why not? It helps. So cooldown reduction, mana cost reduction is important. You want your eye shards to be about 21-22 mana, not 30. If you are to maintain it, this going with all the buffs and reductions we're going to be getting. Imprints, we got 40% armor. This is, I think, this is something every class in the game runs. As soon as you do any damage, you get 40% increased armor for 4 seconds. When you deal any form of damage, taking up to 40%. 40% more armor. It's an excellent buff. We got a 24% damage reduction. We stand our own blizzard. We're going to be trying to kite there most of the times to jump around, so 24% permanent as the blizzards are running. We deal 8% more damage up to 30 as long as we stand still. This is something that's utilized when you're trying to burst an elite target. You're standing still, you just keep spamming eye shards, or when you do an event, you stand in the middle, mobs come in and keep spamming your blizzard, you get an extra 30%. Taking direct damage, you have 4% chance to reset your cooldowns. You have the luck, but this helps as well to keep going. Your lucky hit chance is increased by 18% when you have a barrier. This works with the 4% here and all, sorry, not this 4%, with the 15% when we get hit from the talent tree. So increasing our luck is not a bad thing. It will also help to get primary resource back. It will also help the chances to heal ourselves on this specific one. The heal is not necessary, but if you find a piece of gear that you think is useful, use it. By the way, Sorks 200, maybe. I prefer the dual yield because we get 15% lucky hit chance here. It helps quite a bit, and you also get 10% cooldown reduction. Pretty much as default, it's about 10% there. So you can add another 10% on the perks, and you can keep going. Eye shards aspect that pierce 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 targets, whatever high you can get, and then they deal less damage as they go further back, is important because you will penetrate one target, you hit the second one, the third one. If it's frozen, it will ricochet, and you just build your AoE with that one. Offhand, focus item, you deal 25% more damage to immobilized, frozen, stunned or frozen enemies. For us, it doesn't matter which one it is. Usually we freeze them. That's why I said you're on your peak damage when you're frozen and vulnerable. We got Avalanche Key is the one that gives us the free cast of Ice Shards or Nova. We alternate those two, so that gives us 2 casts and 40% more damage when that happens. And Nova lasts 8 seconds, so having a Nova with 40% more damage, plus the chill, plus the frozen damage, plus you standing still, you know, everything, little thing builds up. When you cast the Blizzard, it periodically spawns exploding ice spikes, dealing 1206. Your spikes deal 25% increased damage to frozen enemies. Blizzard applies chill, it will freeze them. If not, Frost Nova will. Or the Ice Shards, the Blizzard is still ticking on the top, is extra damage, passive, no mana spent. I personally find to be good. This is something you can choose to put something different. You could use cooldown. When you use a cooldown, you get back mana. I use mana regeneration is increased by 24% if you haven't taken damage in the last 3 seconds. Because we kill frozen targets and we get shields, we have the flame shield, we also have our ice armor. While they're all ticking, even if you get hit, it doesn't count as damage because it's been absorbed. So you get that regeneration. When you get a free cast from Avalanche, your regeneration, you know, keeps filling your bar up. You kill some enemies, you have a chance to get 15 mana back. It's a little bit of a synergy there with all these factors, and so far it's been working good with the cooldown reduction we have and with the cost, especially the cost reduction. It works very nicely to do that. And that's pretty much the build. When it comes to the gameplay, a little bit, just a little summary of the gameplay. You can find some of those videos on my website on the right top of the guide. you just don't want to be very near to the mobs most of the time. So if you can get boots that have 3 or 4 charges of dots, that will help you, plus the teleport, that's 5 escapes, flame shield, 4 when things go really bad. So if you go to a room, for example, you want to throw 1 blizzard in front of you, not on top of you, but in front of you, and then go 1 on the mobs, 2 on the mobs, 3 on the mobs, make a little corridors that can mean they get frozen. As soon as the first target gets frozen, start spamming your ice shots to apply vulnerability, and start ricocheting through it. And you do a couple of those, another 2 blizzards, a couple of those, then everything's dead already. That you can do with the elites as well, because you might drop the blizzard, they might drop a poison puddle, you need to jump. The blizzard is still DPSing, your ice shards are not. So, you know, combine those two. Have a go at this, see if you like it. I'm going to try and improve this a little bit, maybe change some skills, see if we can mini-max it to have the ultimate build, because I don't think so far there's been one out there. If you like it, let me know, leave some comments underneath, and please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, help the channel grow. I'll see you on the next video.